My mother stood in the police station lobby, handcuffed, mascara streaking down her face, staring at me like I was the villain in this story. But here's the truth. Sometimes the person who loves you the most can also be the one who destroys you. And when they cross that line, you have two choices. Let them bury you, or fight back with everything you've got. Have you ever felt like a parent's love turned into a cage you had to break? If you relate, stick around till the end. Asterisk asterisk. My name is Noah, and I'm 28 years old. For most of my life, I thought my mother, Linda, was just protective. Strict, maybe a little intense, but ultimately caring. It wasn't until I moved into my own apartment 3 years ago that I realized the truth. My mother wasn't protective. She was obsessed with control. And when I finally tried to break free, she didn't just resist. She waged war. It started small. Too small to notice at first. I'd come home from work and find things slightly off. A coffee mug I'd left in the sink would be in the dishwasher. The throw blanket on my couch would be folded differently. My mail, which I'd left stacked on the kitchen counter, would be organized into neat piles. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. Maybe I'd done these things myself and forgotten. But then it kept happening. One evening, I came home to find my laundry done. Not just done, folded and put away in my drawers. I stood in my bedroom doorway, staring at my perfectly organized dresser, and felt my stomach twist. I hadn't done laundry in 3 days. I lived alone. My building had security cameras in the hallways, and I'd never given anyone a key. Except I had. 2 years ago, when I first moved in, my mother had insisted on having a spare key for emergencies. I'd handed it over without thinking much about it. Now, standing in my violated bedroom, I knew exactly what had happened. I called her immediately. "Mom, have you been coming into my apartment?" There was a pause. Then, in that syrupy sweet voice she used when she was about to gaslight me, she said, "I stopped by to drop off some groceries, sweetheart. I noticed your laundry was piling up, so I helped out. You work so hard. I just wanted to make things easier for you." My hands were shaking. "You can't just come into my apartment without telling me." "Noah, I'm your mother. I was helping. I don't care. This is my home. You need to ask first." She sighed dramatically. "You're overreacting. I've always taken care of you. That doesn't just stop because you moved out." I hung up before I said something I'd regret. But I should have known that conversation wouldn't change anything. With my mother, boundaries weren't guidelines. They were challenges. Hit subscribe so you don't miss how this story explodes. 2 weeks later, I came home to find her sitting on my couch. I froze in the doorway, keys still in my hand. She looked up from her phone and smiled like this was the most natural thing in the world. "Hi, honey. I brought dinner." She gestured to the kitchen, where I could see takeout containers spread across my counter. "How did you get in?" I asked, even though I already knew. "I used my key, obviously." She stood up, smoothing down her blouse. "I wanted to surprise you. You've been so stressed at work, and I thought, get out." Her smile faltered. "Excuse me." I said get out. Right now. "Noah, don't be ridiculous. I came all this way to." "I don't care." My voice cracked, louder than I intended. "This is my apartment. Mine. You don't get to just walk in whenever you feel like it." Her expression shifted from confusion to something colder. "I am your mother. I have every right to check on you." "No, you don't. Not like this." She grabbed her purse, her movements sharp and angry. As she walked past me, she stopped and looked me dead in the eye. "You're being ungrateful. After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me." And then she left. I locked the door behind her and leaned against it, trying to steady my breathing. My phone buzzed almost immediately. A text from her, asterisk, "You'll regret speaking to me that way." Asterisk. I should have changed the locks that night. But I didn't. I told myself she'd finally understand that the confrontation had been enough. I was wrong. 3 days later, I came home to find my bedroom completely rearranged. My bed was moved to a different wall. My dresser had been shifted. My closet was reorganized, clothes sorted by color, shoes lined up like soldiers. And on my pillow was a note in her handwriting, asterisk, "Fixed your room for you. You're welcome. Mom, asterisk." I stood there, frozen, staring at the note. This wasn't help. This was a power play. A message. Asterisk, "I can get in whenever I want. You can't stop me." Asterisk. That night, I called a locksmith. The next morning, my locks were changed. I didn't tell her. I didn't owe her an explanation. For 2 weeks, there was silence. No texts. No calls. I thought maybe, finally, she'd gotten the message. Then my bank account was drained. I woke up one Saturday morning to an alert on my phone, asterisk, "Your checking account balance is now $47.23. Asterisk. I bolted upright, heart pounding. I logged into my banking app with shaking hands. $5,200. Gone. Transferred out in 3 separate transactions over the past week. All to an account I didn't recognize. I called the bank immediately, but they told me the transfers were authorized. Someone had logged in with my credentials and sent the money through Zelle. They couldn't reverse it without proof of fraud. I knew who it was. I didn't know how, but I knew. I called my mother. "Noah, I'm so glad you called. I've been meaning to talk to you about. Where's my money?" Silence. "Mom, where is my money?" Her voice turned defensive. "I don't know what you're talking about. $5,200 disappeared from my account. You're the only person who's been acting insane lately, so I'm asking again. Where is it?" "How dare you accuse me of?" "Answer the question." Another pause. Then quieter. "I borrowed it." My vision blurred with rage. "You stole it." "I didn't steal anything. You owe me, Noah. Do you have any idea how much money I've spent raising you? Feeding you, clothing you, paying for your college. Which I paid you back for. With interest. That wasn't enough. You think that covers everything I've sacrificed? I gave up my career for you. I gave up my life. So yes, I took what I was owed." I was shaking so hard I could barely hold the phone. "You had no right. I had every right. I'm your mother." I hung up. And then I did something I should have done months ago. I went to the police. If you were in my place, how far would you go to teach a parent like that a lesson? The officer at the desk looked bored until I explained what had happened. Then his expression shifted to something like pity. "So your mom took money from your account without permission?" "Yes. Over $5,000. He sighed. "Did she have access to your account? Like, were you sharing login information?" "No. I don't know how she got in." "Does she live with you?" "No." He wrote something down. "Okay, we can file a report, but I'll be honest with you, family theft cases are complicated. If she claims you gave her permission, or that it was a loan, it becomes a civil matter, not criminal." "She stole from me." "I believe you. But unless you have proof she accessed your account without authorization, there's not much we can do. You might want to talk to a lawyer." I left the station feeling defeated. But as I sat in my car, scrolling through my phone, I realized something. I did have proof. Or at least, I could get it. My mother wasn't tech-savvy. If she'd accessed my bank account, she'd probably done it from her own computer or phone. And if I could prove that, I could prove theft. I called my best friend, Marcus, who worked in IT. I need your help, I said. Marcus came over that night with his laptop. I explained everything, the break-ins, the money, the constant violations. He listened quietly, his jaw tightening with every detail. She sounds like a nightmare, he said finally. Can you help me? He nodded. If she logged into your account from her devices, there'll be a record. Banks track IP addresses and device information for every login. We can request that data and cross-reference it with her location. If it matches, you've got her. We spent the next 3 hours going through my bank statements, my emails, my text messages. Marcus helped me file a formal fraud claim with the bank and request a full audit of my account activity. He also helped me change every password I had and set up two-factor authentication on everything. You need to document everything, Marcus said. Every interaction, every text, every time she shows up uninvited. If this goes to court, you'll need a paper trail. Court. The word sent a chill through me. But he was right. Over the next 2 weeks, I kept a detailed log. I installed a security camera outside my apartment door. I saved every text message, every voicemail. I even recorded phone calls, legally, since I lived in a one-party consent state. And then, my mother made her biggest mistake. I came home from work one evening to find my apartment door ajar. My heart stopped. I stood in the hallway, staring at the gap between the door and the frame. The new lock wasn't broken, it was unlocked. Someone had opened it from the inside. I pulled out my phone and called 911. There's someone in my apartment, I whispered. The operator stayed on the line as I waited in the hallway. 5 minutes later, 2 police officers arrived. They entered my apartment first, guns drawn, and I waited outside, my entire body trembling. One of them emerged a minute later. There's no one inside now, she said. But it looks like someone was here. Your back window is open. I followed them inside. My living room was trashed. Drawers were pulled open, cushions thrown off the couch, papers scattered across the floor. My bedroom was worse. My mattress was flipped, my closet emptied, my dresser drawers dumped onto the floor. And on my bed, in the middle of the chaos, was my mother's scarf. I recognized it immediately. A silk scarf with a floral pattern that she wore constantly. She must have dropped it in her rush to leave. Do you know who might have done this? The officer asked. I picked up the scarf, my hands shaking. Yes, my mother. The officer took my statement. I showed her the texts, the call recordings, the bank records Marcus had helped me compile. I explained the break-ins, the stolen money, the constant harassment. I showed her the security footage from my hallway camera, grainy, but clear enough to show my mother entering my apartment earlier that afternoon using a key I'd never given her. Turns out, she'd made a copy before I changed the locks. She'd been planning this. The officer's expression hardened. This is enough for a restraining order, and possibly criminal charges. I want to press charges, I said. For theft, for breaking and entering, for everything. She nodded. We'll need you to come to the station tomorrow to file a formal report. Bring all the evidence you have. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept staring at the scarf on my nightstand, trying to process what had happened. My mother, the woman who'd raised me, who'd taught me to ride a bike, who'd stayed up with me when I was sick, had broken into my home. She'd stolen from me. She'd terrorized me. And now, I was going to make her face consequences. The next morning, I went to the police station and filed a formal criminal complaint. The detective assigned to my case was a woman in her 50s named Detective Ramirez. She listened to my story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, she looked up at me. Your mother has a problem, Noah. This isn't normal behavior. This is obsessive, controlling, and illegal.
I know.
Are you prepared for what comes next? Because once we move forward, this is going to get ugly. I thought about the apartment, the money, the years of manipulation and guilt trips. I thought about the person I'd become under her control, anxious, second-guessing myself, afraid to set boundaries.
I'm ready, I said.
Detective Ramirez nodded.
Good.
We'll start with the financial theft. If we can prove she accessed your account without authorization, that's felony theft. The breaking and entering adds another charge. And if she continues to contact you after we issue a restraining order, that's contempt. Over the next week, the case moved forward faster than I expected. The bank provided records showing that my account had been accessed from my mother's home IP address. They also found evidence that she'd used a password reset link sent to an old email address I'd forgotten about, one she still had access to because I'd set it up when I was 16, and she'd insisted on being the recovery contact. She'd planned this. She'd been planning it for months, maybe longer. Detective Ramirez also subpoenaed my building's security footage. It showed my mother entering my apartment 5 separate times over the past 2 months, always during the day, always when she knew I'd be at work. The evidence was overwhelming. 3 weeks after I filed the report, my mother was arrested. I got the call from Detective Ramirez while I was at work. We picked her up this morning. She's being charged with felony theft, burglary, and stalking. Her arraignment is tomorrow. I felt like I was going to be sick.
Okay.
You don't have to be there, she said gently. But if you want to, you have every right.
I went.
The courtroom was small and cold. My mother sat at the defendant's table with a public defender, her hands folded in her lap. She looked smaller than I remembered. Older. When she saw me in the gallery, her face crumpled. The judge read the charges. My mother pleaded not guilty. Bail was set at $10,000, which she couldn't pay. She was remanded to custody until trial. As they led her out in handcuffs, she turned and looked at me one last time. Her expression wasn't angry. It was devastated. For a moment, I almost felt guilty. But then I remembered the apartment,
the money,
the years of manipulation, and I stayed in my seat. The trial was set for 6 weeks later. In the meantime, I was granted a temporary restraining order. My mother wasn't allowed to contact me in any way. Of course, she tried. She called from the jail phone. I didn't answer. She sent letters through her lawyer. I didn't read them. She even tried to have my aunt, her sister, reach out on her behalf. I blocked her number too. Marcus helped me move to a new apartment across town. We didn't tell anyone where I was going. I changed my phone number. I deleted all my social media accounts. I disappeared. For the first time in my life, I felt safe. The trial lasted 3 days. The prosecution presented the bank records, the security footage, the text messages. They called me to the stand, and I told my story, calmly, clearly, without emotion. I explained the years of control, the escalating behavior, the final break-in. My mother's lawyer tried to paint me as an ungrateful son. He argued that she'd only been trying to help, that I'd overreacted, that this was a family matter blown out of proportion. But the evidence spoke for itself. On the 3rd day, the jury deliberated for less than 2 hours. They came back with a guilty verdict on all counts. My mother was sentenced to 18 months in prison, followed by 3 years of probation. She was also ordered to pay restitution for the stolen money, plus court costs. When the judge read the sentence, my mother broke down sobbing. Her lawyer had to hold her up. I sat in the gallery, watching her cry, and felt nothing. No relief. No satisfaction. Just exhaustion. After the trial, I went to therapy. My therapist, Dr. Patel, helped me process what had happened. She explained that my mother's behavior wasn't love, it was enmeshment. She'd never learned to see me as a separate person with my own needs and boundaries. To her, I was an extension of herself, and my independence felt like abandonment. That doesn't excuse what she did, Dr. Patel said. But it might help you understand it. I don't know if I want to understand it, I admitted. That's okay too. Over the following months, I started to rebuild my life. I made new friends. I got a promotion at work. I started dating someone who respected my boundaries and didn't try to control me. For the first time in years, I felt like myself. My mother was released after serving 14 months. She moved to a different city to live with my aunt. She wasn't allowed to contact me per the terms of her probation, and for a long time, she didn't. Then, about 6 months after her release, I got a letter. It was handwritten, on plain white paper, postmarked from her new address. I almost threw it away, but something made me open it.
Noah.
Asterisk, I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to ever want to see me again. But I need you to know that I've spent every day since the trial thinking about what I did to you. Asterisk. Asterisk, I told myself I was protecting you, helping you, loving you. But I was wrong. I was hurting you. I was suffocating you. And I was too blind, too selfish, too scared to see it. Asterisk. Asterisk, I've been in therapy. I've been working on understanding why I did what I did. None of it excuses my actions. Nothing ever could. But I want you to know that I'm trying to be better. Asterisk. Asterisk, I love you, Noah. I always have. But I finally understand that love without respect isn't love at all. It's control. And control isn't love. Asterisk. Asterisk, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Asterisk. I hope one day you can find peace, even if that peace doesn't include me.
Mom.
I read the letter 3 times. Then I folded it and put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. Would you forgive them once they finally paid the price, or would you keep the door closed? It's been 2 years since the trial. My mother and I have exchanged a few emails, carefully worded, polite, distant. She respects my boundaries now. She asks before she visits, which isn't often. She doesn't push. We'll never have the relationship she wanted. But maybe someday we'll have the relationship we both need, one built on respect, not control. I still have hard days. Days when I wonder if I did the right thing. Days when I feel guilty for sending my own mother to prison. But then I remember the person I was before, anxious, trapped, constantly walking on eggshells. And I remember the person I am now, free, confident, in control of my own life. And I know I made the right choice. Because boundaries aren't just lines you draw. They're promises you make to yourself. Promises that you matter. That your safety matters. That your peace matters. And when someone crosses those boundaries, even someone you love, you have every right to defend them. Even if it costs you everything. Even if it costs you them. Because in the end, the only person you're truly responsible for protecting is yourself. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away. Or in my case, lock the door. And never look back. If you made it this far, thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, because standing up for yourself is never easy, but it's always worth it. And remember, your boundaries are valid. Your feelings are valid. You are valid. Don't ever let anyone make you feel otherwise. Asterisk, asterisk.